You just mentioned Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were a fan of him while growing up. What was it like to meet someone like that and realize that they're a fan of you too?
Well, he wasn't, so. I'm not kidding. He didn't really know me. I was brand new, and when I got my start in America, I was a complete unknown. I was a Simpsons writer, and they were looking for this big slot to fill. And today they would have thousands of qualified candidates because of YouTube and the internet. There's so many people. Everyone has 75 shows on Netflix, by the time they're in utero, and live from the womb, and so the idea that they would, if there was a giant opening for a show, if Stephen Colbert decided he was going to step down, there'd be a million, you'd know all the names of all the people who were probably going to replace him. And I had this very strange moment in time where it was pre-internet, so after Carson, I would say the biggest host was this guy, David Letterman, and he suddenly left, and there was a hole. And they said to my boss, my former boss at Saturday Night Live, can you find somebody to fill it? And he went, let me think. And then through a series of just crazy chances, he said, there's this writer I know with weird hair and a weird name who makes the other writers laugh. And they were like, well, does he do stand-up? No. Has he done anything? Not on camera. You're kidding, right? No, I think he might be good. And so they gave me a tryout, and I did really well at the tryout, and they gave me the show, and the entire United States said, who is this? What's a Conan? Who is this person? Seriously. And then for the first year I was on the air, I was never 1/10 as funny as I was on the audition. Because it's one thing to audition for something you don't think you're going to get. So I walked into the audition, I'm like, I'm never getting this, and ba-da-da. And back then, in the early 90s, that was funny. And but I just thought, I'm not getting this. And I was so relaxed that they said, this guy's got it. Put him on. And then the next thing you know, I've got this show, and suddenly I have responsibility. And I have this Irish Catholic sense of, I've got to do a good job. And I've got to make sure that I please everyone, which is the least funny space to come from. What an unfunny approach. So my first year on the air, we did a lot of really inventive, fun comedy, but I was like, yes, well, we'll return soon by your graces, and we'll see you back here when we resume the program. And I had, sweating, and I hadn't hit puberty yet, and people were like, I hate this woman. And it was people wrote the nastiest things. I mean, I just got destroyed in the press. I mean, your press can be mean. Our press was really mean, and man, did they let me have it. And I remember, this is a true story, I went and saw, I was starting to see a therapist. I was under so much pressure and feeling like the whole world, And so I went in to see the therapist, and I lay down, and I said, I think people hate me. I think they want me to go away. I think they think that I'm terrible at what I do and that I'm a failure. And the therapist said, listen, these are voices we all have, and these are voices that recur, and it comes from your shame center, and it can happen, but we all have these voices, and it's just a voice, it's not real. And I said, you ass, it's the cover of USA Today. I held up the paper, and it said all of that stuff. And he was like, well, okay. Maybe the paper is a dream. I'm like, no, it's a paper. I could shove it in your mouth right now. Well, who's to say I'm real, That'll be $185. So, but then things got better, and then the critics turned around. But man, that was, and now I'm in this unique position that's crazy. It's another thing to tell you about, which is, all these years later, I just was convinced. I just said, well, people hate us. They hate us, and we got through those first couple of years, and now I meet these people who inspire me. One of my favorite comedians working, and he's just a lovely person and brilliant comic, John Mulaney. And yeah, okay. Let's not go too far, all right? No, what's that?
He's coming to the Union in March.
Oh, he's coming in March. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm here now. So, the guy's good, but let's not get crazy. No, he deserves that, and he's just so funny, and he's such a brilliant writer and such a great performer. But recently I got to be friends with him, and he would say, oh, yeah, I used to watch you that first year. Wasn't it great? And I was like, what are you talking about? Everyone hated me, and he said, I wasn't aware of that. Me and my friends just thought it was really weird and cool and funny. And I said, why couldn't you have come and said that to me back in 1993? And he's like, well, I was 11. I think an 11-year-old in pajamas coming to see you would be weird, you know? But that's the other thing, too, is that if I was just going off of my feeling of how things were going or the public perception of how they were going, all the evidence that I had was awful. All the scientific evidence was not good. Ratings bad, critics bad, word on the street, you suck, go home, you suck, just tough. And then all these years later, these people whose comedy I just love tell me, oh, we really liked you in the beginning. It was really, we were watching right away and we liked it. And I didn't know that, but I think that's something inspirational for people to know is that, again, going back to, we live in this culture of you're constantly checking in to see how you're doing and how's someone else doing compared to you. And you're getting a lot of inaccurate information about how you're doing. How you're doing as a person, as an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old or whatever, who's here at Oxford at this moment, how you're doing, you just don't know. It really is about how you feel about how you're doing, and checking in constantly on social media, I think, is a very tricky thing. And I'm not some old guy saying social media is a bad thing. I'm very young. No, I love social media, and I think it is mostly a force for good. I just think it's like one of those 52-48 propositions where it really is, there's so much there that can be very difficult. And I think there's a lot of pressure on this generation. There's so much pressure on you that wasn't on my generation. We could be blissfully ignorant about what someone else had for breakfast, how much they love avocado toast and how many likes that got. We didn't know all that, and I think, so there's a lot of pressure that people are dealing with here that I'm sympathetic to.
I think it's time for questions from the audience now. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, wait for the microphone to come to you, and please stand up while asking your question. Can we start with the hand in the very back row over there, the member with the glasses?
You're at Oxford and you just said the guy with the glasses.
There's only one person with the glasses in the back.
The learned fellow who takes things seriously. Yes, you. Stand.
Hello.
Be seen.
I've been watching you for many years.
Louder! What's your name?
I've been watching you for many years.
What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin. Hello,
Yeah.
Kevin.
How much of the Georgian Slansky character is made up? Because I feel like
I've told you, he is real. He's a real person, and I've had arguments with him when there's no cameras around that are hysterical, and I'm thinking, why aren't there cameras rolling right now? He is a real person. Does he sometimes put maybe an extra 10% on it? Yes, he does. But don't pour during my answers. Everyone's like, I think he's gone mad. You won't pour as I speak. Where's my cab to Cambridge? I'm going now. Yeah, but he's pretty much that guy. He really is. He really is.
Okay, thank you.
I thank you. I thank you, Kevin. Kevin, you get to keep that mic. That's yours to have. That's a new thing we're doing here at the Union. Once you get the mic, don't give it back. All right, there are all these people, and then they have to wait for the mic to get to them. This is awkward. He's right there. I can hear him.
Hi.
Oh, yes. Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm really excited to see you.
Very excited to see you.
Love your podcast.
Thank you very much.
So especially love Sona. So hi to Sona, I guess.
Well, she's not here. She'll never hear about this.
So yeah, you talked about Jordan and you mentioned Sona already. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about your relationship with Sona. It always seems pretty antagonistic, but also that you really, really love each other, right?
Well, that's how it's supposed. Yeah, well, you know, it is funny. My wife's here, and she can validate. The actress playing my wife is here. That's my wife, Liza, right there, and she will tell you that dealing with Sona on the phone about anything it is that same person. She's 100% authentic. It's my assistant. I hired her, and then one day I heard this strange language, and I heard her, and it was her talking to her mom. I'd only heard her speak fluent Southern California English, and she was having this heated conversation. And I came out and I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "I was just having a talk with my mom." And I didn't realize that they both speak Armenian. And they were both speaking fluently. And she's very loud. And when they're having a normal, pleasant conversation, it sounds intense. And so I came in and I said, "Well, it sounded like you were two Draculas were having an argument, you know?" And immediately in that moment, we decided, like, this person's either offensive or this is going to work. And it worked. Because she came right back at me on, living off potatoes. And, and it just gelled. And we're constantly, we just did a thing recently where I got her to, it was a real, cameras were rolling, we were just talking, and then she started talking about all the stuff she's stolen from stores. And she just went, and she was like, "I took this lip gloss, I took that from this store," and she had an encyclopedic knowledge of all the things that she's stolen over the years. So I said, we should do a remote where you and I go back to all those stores and try and make amends. And it's stuff like it's all like $1.99 lip gloss, a headband from Forever 21, some socks with a tassel on them from Gap for Kids. I don't know why she stole that. Just weird stuff, but it just is so silly, and it works. That's I think one of the reasons that we keep doing it. And we did have a very nice. I took her to Armenia. It was really fun to go to Armenia, and we didn't know what the end would be, and we had so much fun adventures in Armenia. And I took her. There's women there whose profession is to find people a husband. And you go, and we were looking at all these pictures of these guys in her little house in Armenia. And so that was a fun remote. But then at the end, we ended up going to the Holocaust Memorial. And that was incredibly powerful and really amazing. And I do love it when a show like Conan Without Borders, which is on Netflix, can encompass really laugh out loud funny moments, and then a real moment. It didn't feel exploitative at all. It felt, we went there, she wanted to go, we told the cameramen, you got to be out of sight. I told all the writers and the producers, you have to go away. And we just had this great moment, and she was crying her eyes out, and it was really powerful, and it was a beautiful thing. And wherever I go now, Armenians come out and they say, "Conan, Barev," and I say, "Inch pasek, lavem," and that's all I know. And but that's been the really nice thing, is that it's all about making connections. And I'm sort of addicted to going to different places and trying to see, can I connect with these people in Haiti, in Seoul, South Korea, in Italy, we just went to Ghana for a year of return and had some really great moments. And I'm the whitest person in the world, but and we had a guy who I was talking to, and I'm trying to learn about culture in Ghana, and he's from Ghana, and he's this, he's just this really interesting, funny guy, but he's looking at me, and he went, "Your skin," I was wearing a short sleeve shirt, and I went, "Those are freckles," and he was like, "Uh-huh." And I said, "What's the matter?" And he went, "I thought you were sick." And then I had the experience of going to a club with him and being the only white person in the club and realizing this is how my friends who are African American, who live in work on my show, if they go somewhere and they're the only person of color there, I know how I see now. I see how it all gets flipped around, and I love that. I love trying to get outside myself and connect to people and see if we can make them laugh. You know, that's just a lovely part of the job.